welcome to Football Bloody Hell. I'm here with Gary, as always. How you doing, mate?
Good, mate. All good. Season's finished. I've got nothing to make us miserable.
Yeah,
So
to England play in the Euros.
surprisingly cheerful. How about you?
Yeah, decent. I'm delighted that the season's finished, to be honest, because I couldn't have taken any more games. If we had to play to 48, I would have been shitting myself every day. But
To be fair, I was in the
Luckily.
same boat because we were
not.
we were in a bad trajectory.
Yeah, you only 3 points in front of us. But is that?
Well,
I think we're on what episode is this? Episode 5,
5,
season
I think.
2. Yeah. If you're new to the pod as well, by all means go and listen to some of our older stuff. One of the best things if you want to get to know us is listen to the first ever episode of season 1. I'd say if you want to get to know the both of us, and then you could probably skip every single one and come straight to this one because it's my
Yeah.
To be honest, our pod is it's more news heavy, quite relevant, and it's quite recent stuff. So yeah,
That's true. I mean, yeah. I don't know why we bother with the news because it just descends into madness, doesn't it? Really, we just end up
ranting,
talking nonsense. But a good point of pointing out listening to episode 1 of season 1 is because the whole point in the whole kickoff of this podcast is based off the fact that Matt is a Sheffield Wednesday fan and I'm a Sunderland fan, and we met on the last game of the season with Sheffield Wednesday needing a result, and we had nothing to play for because we finished our season in February, not because of points stalls or anything, just because we decided to sack the second manager we appointed this season. And anyway, as I predicted, I believe I predicted, you beat us. I knew you were going to beat us comfortably. 2-0, wasn't it?
2-0 win. Yeah.
I think it was 2. Yeah, 2-0 win, and I'm really happy you did that. It's the first time I've been quite happy to see somebody beat us this season because I did want you to stay up. I definitely did want you to stay up. And you did, so there we go.
Yeah.
Did you enjoy it, or were you kind of nervous at first, or what?
What, in that last game of the season? Yeah, well, I was playing anyway, so myself. So I didn't really...
Oh, that's true.
I didn't really know the result until a lot later. So I knew we'd scored before we started playing, and before I started playing, and then I didn't know any of the result until 5 maybe that evening. So I was pretty happy.
Well, it was never in doubt.
Ignorance is bliss sometimes.
I think I was texting you throughout.
Ignorance is bliss.
So probably...
it could have been, we could have been absolutely spanked, but I didn't know. So I was quite ignorantly happy, and I was concentrating on something else at the time. So my team getting promoted.
So how did you get on?
1-2-0.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah, we're win Tuesday and we're promoted. That's it then.
Is it so? Is that mathematical, or is it like basically you're already up? Or does it have to go?
No, we have to win. We're playing bottom of the league.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So
at home.
Is it? Oh, right.
We've got a plus 15 goal difference on the team. So a team played Saturday. They played their last game of the season on Saturday, and they won in the last minute against the informed side, which was annoying. But then, so they went ahead of us. But if we win on Tuesday against bottom of the league, our goal difference is so much superior that we'll finish in the promotion places, and they won't. But I think they'll probably get promoted anyway in third.
Well, because of the teams disbanding and whatever from above.
The leagues usually, that's the way it works, I think.
It's always a team that drops out, but don't
we still want to finish second.
Don't play.
Let's put it this way.
You definitely do. If you can't win it, you want the automatic spots. You don't want to just get it through.
Let's get the automatic
through a technicality.
Yeah, exactly. You don't want a technicality promotion.
Like when Sunderland did when Swindon got all the financial troubles and we got beat in the playoffs and we still went up.
Oh yeah.
You don't want to do that.
No.
I mean,
promotion
the
by
team
technicality is a bit.
going up, you're not that bothered, but
That'd be nice though.
it's weak. Yeah.
Yeah.
Have you had a cup final, or did you get knocked out the cup?
We got knocked out in the quarterfinals.
When's that?
Hey.
Oh, right, okay.
Quarterfinals. It was one too many games. Our team's quite old. Like, if you're playing a couple of games a week, then it gets to you.
Yeah, that's fair. You old bastards.
We need some new young legs in midfield,
Well,
especially. That's what
on
I
that
said.
note,
I'm talking about Sheffield Wednesday and the team I play for.
And speaking of promotions, mate. So on the point of promotions and relegations and all that nonsense, did you on the last episode of the podcast mentioned we would have a new team in the Football League, which is now officially Bromley because they won in the playoff finals and are promoted. Did you happen to see it?
Yeah. So I was happy to see either of those teams win, I think. But we got another London team in the Football League, which... Do we need any more? I don't know. But but yeah, well done to Bromley. I mean, one of the interesting things that came out of that Bromley side, did you know that one of their coaches, so tactical coaches, they appointed him 2 or 3 months ago. He's 23 years old, and they appointed him off the back of a Football Manager save. Deadly serious.
Another one.
They it's not like the Will Still stuff. He liked playing Football Manager, and that got him into coaching. So that's sort of how it worked, wasn't it? He liked playing Football Manager and thought, I'm going to do coaching badges and do it for real. This guy, he entered a competition between Bromley and Xbox, and they picked him out of a competition to be in their first team staff, and he was on the touchline for them at Wembley, getting them promoted to the Football League as a tactical coach. I mean, that's impressive, isn't it?
That's what dreams are made of, like.
Gives us all hope. But fair play to Bromley and that, and I'm sure, like we've said before, the gap between the League Two and National League isn't that big. I suspect, because they've got a very good infrastructure there. They're a very well run club. They're not going to uproot like the whole league by smacking it, because they're not got that sort of money, but they're very well run. So a very well run club in that league will do quite well. I would expect them to be at least comfortable. You know, I can't imagine them to just be battered every game.
I wonder, from a team coming up from like the National League and then going into the Football League, how much the financial kind of impact it has, because for all they'll get more money, there's also the fact that they've got more to put out as well, because the cost of running the games and the season, the competitions. So what do you reckon?
I don't know. I think there's going to be more money through sponsorship and things, so that'll open up new opportunities. Like you said, the jump's not so big anymore because I say 98% of the teams in the National League are professional anyway, so it's not like they're having to be forced to change to professional and change the model of how they train and everything like this. That stays the same. So like that's not going to be any different. And half the teams that are in the League Two, they probably played at some point in the last 10 years anyway in the National League. So I mean, I don't know if it's going to make a huge amount of difference to how they're run. I think one of the things is, I think they have... Do they have a plastic pitch? Yeah.
I think they do.
They
I think
do
it's
have a plastic pitch, so they're going to have to dig that up. So, which is fucking mental. So, plastic pitches, obviously, we say that for community-based football clubs, which Bromley are, they're a big revenue stream because you can use it 7 days a week,
Mm-hmm.
24 hours. Well, they got floodlights, so yeah,
Rent the pitches out.
you can rent it out. It's used every day of the week, I imagine. Community pitches, all the teams play on there. Women's teams play on there, probably. Like loads of teams play on this pitch every day and rely on it as a community hub. That's gone because the Football League insists you can't have 3G, 4G pitches in the Football League. So they have to dig that up and they can only play games on it. And this happened to Sutton United as well when they got promoted, that they had to do that. And that's going to be a big source of income that they lose. And that, I'm not sure how much that's going to affect their finances. I don't know how much they rely on that, but a lot of clubs, those community-run clubs that do change their pitches to full 3G, do it for a reason. And it's usually to generate additional income that's not coming from match day. They're only going to get match day income now from their ground, which is a big loss, I suppose, isn't it? And that's the Football League just being a bit backwards, I think.
I think everybody would always pick turf, but like there's certain circumstances now where there's problems that they're now encountering because the lower leagues have been so starved of any kind of development that the teams that are just outside of the fully professional leagues are catching up, but then and there's stuff like this now where it goes all the way up to the Premier League. If you look at Luton and the way their setup was, like they had to do a lot of infrastructure work to get into the Prem to be promoted, and then the amount this must happen in the Football League, I think, will probably be eye-watering. So now, like when you've got people who are trying to be innovative, like for example Dorking. Like Dorking going to do their social media platform, the leagues, and I don't think they'll be able to do it in the EFL. And I mean, I know it's not an issue because they got relegated now, but then their pitch, the cost of like maintaining that pitch, the amount of games that get called off is all, and then you get the fixture congestion. So teams are looking at like artificial pitches for avoidance of that on top of other sources of revenue. But then when these teams are getting promoted, the league is not given any kind of leeway and go, no, you must change. So where are they meant to find the money? And then what will happen is if they finance something, put themselves in debt to do it, and then get relegated again, what they're meant to do, dig it up again. It's just
like
doesn't make any
Sutton
sense.
United
Man.
going to go back to a plastic pitch now they dropped to the National League. I mean, to make them extra bit of money, maybe. But I think the mental thing about it is, so the Football League are the only league that are quite highbrow about this thing. So if Bromley were to play in a UEFA competition, they would be fine. So say if they qualified for the Conference League, I don't know how they would have done, but if they did, they would be allowed to play on their pitch with a 3G. But you're not allowed to play in League 2.
But again,
is that a bit backwards? Because obviously, like a lot of Norwegian, Icelandic,
that's where like when you think
have to have that. Like they don't have a choice. Otherwise, they won't play a league season, will they? But yeah,
no,
it's mad,
no.
isn't it?
I don't know. It's just frustrating. Again, you'd think there would be some sort of again League 2 teams competing with like a Brentford. They're not, but like the brands, they're all different. That's why there's different TV rights. Otherwise, they'll all be kind of linked in. Speaking of that, like the EFL announcing like the new TV deals, really, really. Well, I say it's really good. It's good that there's going to be more visibility of Championship games and EFL games, and money's getting distributed a bit better. But I don't know. It's just there's so much stuff going on in football, and it's nice to see loads of the teams like. And it's not so much clubs coming out and saying it. It's more like the social commentators. So like what's his name? Mark Goldbridge. Yeah. Love him or hate him. He made a point on how like Man City's won the if you're the Premier League, it's in crisis because you look at the state of the officiating, the way we handle VAR, Man City winning the league again. It's like what's it like 6 times out of 7 or five times out of 6 or something. So if they
Yeah.
win it again, it's like we are now just PSG. We are the French league because no
Yeah.
one's getting no one's able to
Getting
pip
near
them. Aye, and then it's nice to see because the amount of times I've said in this podcast, and Call bitter because obviously we want to get promoted at some point. Sheffield, you want to get promoted back to the Premier League, but I've got no desire to be in that league whatsoever. It'd be nice to go up, but like, look, all 3 teams that went up, who basically romped the league because you had Sheffield on massive points to go up second. Burnley won it on plus 100 points, and then Luton were up there all the time and then dominated us in the playoffs and won the final as well. And you just look at it and go, really? Luton took it to the last game of the season, but that was mainly because of a points deduction. It would have been finished 2 weeks
Yeah.
ago, and Sheffield didn't get a sniff. And
They're awful, Sheffield United. I mean, it made me happy. But yeah.
I know. But it's just you get what I'm saying. It's just like it's shit for the league that all 3 teams that have come up, not one of them's got anywhere near it, and then have been relegated again.
That's happened in a long time as well, isn't it? Where all 3 have gone up and come back down again.
I think it's been a good few years, but at the same time, though, I think it just shows that how much it's changed because like it's been a while since that's happened. Granted, like you say, but at the same time,
I feel like
how many
it's a
times
different sport. Like you think these teams get promoted, then they have to contend with what VAR, contentious decisions, being in the spotlight all the time. Like it's like a different sport. It's entirely.
Yeah, because it comes with different parameters. Because things you'd get away with in the Championship, you just don't get it, and that's not just on the quality. It is just like the officiating.
Yeah.
Because people might leave something on somebody in a corner, and that's then a penalty, and you've got to learn that straight away. And
Yeah, exactly.
there's always going to be an advantage to the teams that have already been in the league, but like,
or to shout or play the loudest.
Yeah, but and not to go too far off topic there, but it's annoying. So just to come back to topic, if we're going to feel sorry about the game, just to tie this back in from going on a mad rant again, how much have you got to feel for Solihull though? Because they went to Wembley twice.
A lot.
It's gruesome.
I mean, Solihull Moors, they've had. I mean, I don't think they're very good in finals, personally. I just don't think they are.
You think?
I mean, let's have a quick look at some of their like recent history and finals and things.
Well, whilst you're looking, in the most recent history, which we're talking in the span of 2 weeks, they went to Wembley twice, drew, lost on penalties.
Yeah.
That's so awful. It's kind of, I mean, as much as Gateshead's close to Newcastle, so I instantly hate them. But putting that aside, like Gateshead had a really, really good season. Obviously got stiffed off the council and couldn't get promoted and go into the playoffs, and arguably potentially would have been in the playoff final if you judge it off the cup win, the FA trophy win. So you've obviously Mike Williamson left it.
Yeah. Same thing.
Lost. And like they went through on like Mike Williamson obviously at MK Dons now and left, and then his assistant Rob Elliott took them on and kept them in touch with it all, and obviously got a trophy. So it is nice for Gateshead.
Yeah.
But at the same time, you're like, to lose the exact same way, like the result play out exactly the same way twice. It
is cruel, isn't it? And I'm just looking at Solihull. So they obviously lost. We know they lost in the playoff final. 2-2 draw with Bromley, and then lose on penalties. Their last playoff run was in 21-22, so 2 years ago. They lost in the playoff final after extra time against Grimsby at Wembley. Then in 2018-2019, they lost in the playoff semi-final to AFC Fylde. 1-0 at home. I don't think Solihull like playoff matches.
Nah.
I think they need to concentrate on getting promoted. So that season they lost in the playoff semi-final. They finished 3 points behind Leyton Orient and were within 3 points of being promoted to the Football League automatically. The season they lost in the final to Grimsby, they finished 1 point off Wrexham. So it was that Wrexham Stockport County running away. Solihull were right up there. They lost to Grimsby, who finished 10 points behind them.
That's grim, innit? But that's why the playoffs are so good. That's why the playoffs are so good, though.
Yeah, it is. I mean, and this year they finished Bromley. This year they were the outsiders, if anything. They finished 5th, obviously. They were, 5 points behind Bromley. Bromley were once Barnet went out, who Solihull smashed, by the way. Like, they were probably thinking, playoff hoodoo's going away now, isn't it? We got to play Bromley in the final. Smashing second place Barnet.
Do you know what it was,
though? I don't think Solihull Moors and Wembley go together. I think that's what I'm trying to say.
So I did watch the final, and is it Sabara for Solihull? I don't know if that's how you pronounce it. It's like Sbara, Sabara, I think.
Yeah, Joe Sabara, yeah.
He was in control of the game. Like, I watched it, and Bromley were just getting deeper and deeper, but they just played that out ball and caught them on the counter. Just
Solihull are a good
it,
side. I wouldn't be surprised.
They play such good football. Like, we're playing really good football. So when I saw, because I ended up, I didn't get to watch the extra time and the penalties. I watched the full 90, and I had to go out. And I was watching it on FotMob just to see the result and stuff. So when I seen it, I was like, oh, it's harsh.
Solihull were a really good side.
It was so good. Like, they just got caught out twice.
I wouldn't be surprised if they... The way they sort of go about things is they have 1 year in the playoffs, 1 year dog shit, 1 year in the playoffs, 1 year dog shit. So next year they might finish like 11th or something. But it would be nice if they could just put a run together, because like you said, they play really good football. They're actually always there or thereabouts. The teams that are coming down, Forest Green and Sutton, aren't your Chesterfields, are they? Let's put it this way.
No.
You're going to get one of those teams, but then our Southend and Oldham and Rochdale, are they going to pick it back up a little bit? Maybe. I don't know. There's some big teams in the middle of the National League that could just sort of... But Solihull are very well run. They're very similar to Bromley, but they're obviously from Birmingham, so different city. But like, they could be there or thereabouts again next year. You would hope so anyway, like you said, the way they played.
They were good. They were good.
They got a nice little setup, and it's somewhere different in it. So
yeah, it's further north, isn't it?
Yeah, northern.
I mean, Birmingham's as far south as I really would like to travel, but yeah, it's north. It's more north than in the National League, for sure. But yeah, so sorry for you, any Solihull fans who might listen to this podcast, but we're there with you. And we'll hope you're ready to go again next season and keep a hold of Sabara. And I think you'd be, again, like Matt said, there or thereabouts. But here we are, Matt. So that we've kicked off the pod. So let's take a quick short break and quick short break, mate. And we'll get into the first half.
Sounds good, mate.
And welcome back to Football Bloody Hell.
Hey.
Bloody hell.
Bloody hell.
Bloody hell, Matt. Well, just keeping in the theme of how we started, I wanted to go through the playoffs because we've had, as of today, we've had all three rounds of all three leagues, not rounds. We've had League Two, we've had League One, and as of today, the Championship. So, just kicking off with MK doomed to be in League Two forever because I can't see them coming back against Crawley, who I must say...
The Crawley Town steam train that no one expected, that no one ever expected to get to the station. Like, let's put it this way, like, what the fuck are Crawley on? Like, that's what I want to know. Because
They were,
everyone and their dog will be happy that MK Dons lost, I think. But apart from if you're an MK Dons fan or you're from Milton
but
Keynes and probably support Northampton, I don't know. But like anyway,
yeah, all 200 fans,
yeah,
200 fans of the
it's
franchise.
a lovely stadium, but like it's empty. But anyway,
Yeah.
we'd all wish Man City were down here. But anyway, like it's that game. I mean, to get battered by perennial losers Crawley Town 8-1 on aggregate. I mean, when we talked about the playoffs last week, because the last time we did the pod, we talked about the playoffs before any of the games happened. They've happened pretty quickly, haven't they? Like in the space of 5 days.
Like Monday, Wednesday, Saturday, straight away, wasn't it?
Both legs in the space of like 4 or 5 days. And like we said, MK Dons, the way they went into the playoffs, you expected them to win that. With the teams that are in there, Donny maybe, but the Crawley, we gave no hope.
Nah, I didn't even think of them.
Well, they were favourites for relegation this season, genuinely.
Yeah.
So that's how it's surprising Crawley being there is.
It's just like I watched again. Like I've really enjoyed, be it like again last season and the season. Well, I say last season, the season before, 2 seasons before, and last season. Some of them were involved in the playoffs, like up from League One and up the Championship as well. So I kind of like nerves set in and excitement, so you kind of forget about everything else. But it's been quite nice not being involved in anything and actually getting involved with some of these games. So I've been watching them in the midweek, and I watched the national finals and all that kind of stuff, like I was saying about Bromley. So I watched the second leg because it was 3-0. It was a 3-1 or 3-0 the first leg. I can't remember, but there were 3 up, 3-0. That's right. So then when they went to MK, I was like, MK, the score goals, obviously they concede, but like they went into the end of the season kind of conceding goals like heavily, but I was just like, they'll sort that out. It's just tired legs. They'll probably be thinking, right, we'll go into these 2 next games into the final.
Yeah.
But then when I watched the second game, I couldn't believe what I was seeing, the amount of mistakes like they were making. And it is this kind of thing where they play this possession-based football, high risk, out from the back. It's MK's style. Mike Williamson's keeping it going because he did the same at Gateshead, but the play, like they just looked completely like dwarfed by the task at hand. Like you could tell, like the players were like terrified. They just couldn't handle it, and they just capitulated massively. But even still, it wasn't just a case of MK Dons being that bad. Like Crawley was so good. Like one of the goals that they scored was unbelievable. It was just like out from the back, tick-a-tack, pass, a little flick, and then roll like you would score a goal on FIFA and just rolled it across the 6-yard box for a simple tap in. And it was like the guy scored a hat trick. It was 5-1 at that point, and it was just like, what is going on? And what I loved about it is how much Crawley were like constant. They could have just kept it, like they were already 3-0 up. They could have just kept it, and when they scored early, it killed the game straight away. But they didn't just stop. They were like, nah. They went for the jugular and just battered them, like totally embarrassed them.
I mean, it's beautiful to see, isn't it? Like we all like MK Dons losing, so like I think it's absolutely beautiful to see. I need to watch the highlights, to be honest. I haven't watched any of the highlights of those games.
It was to the point where I was like, not like laughing. I'll try and do an impression of what I was doing. I was just going, like what's going on?
Like,
I just bemused.
I was dimension all of a sudden when Crawley are good.
I was like, what is going on? Like Crawley, like Crawley were like, and it's not again like I'm trying to play down Crawley or whatever, but like I just couldn't believe what I was watching. I was like, it's absolutely mad. But so fair play to them. And then they're coming up against Crew, who made it through. Crew made it through as well.
Nice
so yeah, it's nice, isn't it? I didn't think about it. I didn't write it down on my notes, and thought, I like this one.
Yeah, that's all it says.
Crew made it through, nothing else. And then some expletives
Yeah.
and a nudie drawing of my interpretation of you. No, never mind. But yeah, so creepy Crawley in the final, which is not what I expected. I thought
No,
MK
we
Don's
expected
back.
MK and Donny.
Yeah, just the way that Doncaster again. When you look at the playoffs, it's always that kind of thing. That form goes out. Well, they say form goes out the window in the final, but when you look at the teams in the playoffs, it's always usually the team who's in form. So like, it doesn't matter if you've got like if you've been in the top four, let's say top four, because I know there's six, but like top four doesn't matter. Like if you finish third or fourth, like can you remember that there was a time where Ipswich would always finish third in the championship and always lose. They'd lose in the final.
Yeah.
They'd never go up. They'd finish third, but they get beat in the final. So it's like you always see the team going in with the form, and Doncaster coming into it, they just looked rejuvenated and snuck into the playoffs late on in the season, and then just come undone against Crew. And I think I don't know, Crew. I don't know. I mean, they've got the bad points. Don't get me wrong, but like Crew's always. I don't know. They seem to always have young talent, and
They got
just
that
seem a
thing
bit
about them,
better
haven't they?
equipped for it.
Yeah, the thing is though, you have to remember as well, Crew did lose the first leg 2-0, so I think they played an extra 30 minutes as well. It went to added time. It went to extra time and penalties, didn't it? So it was 2-0 to Doncaster away,
and then
in the first leg.
2-2.
Yeah, it's the bizarre, like, Crew got beat at home, Doncaster got beat at home. It's like...
But I think take your pick into that. I think of watching Crawley, I'm backing Crawley for that.
Yeah, if you're saying Crawley played that way, I think Crew are a good side. I think they're very delighted that they even got past Doncaster, because it was a lottery at the end. It was penalties, weren't it? So, and if Crawley take that form that they've just battered MK Dons with, I think they'll be playing in League One next year against the likes of Birmingham.
What a game that'd be.
Birmingham and Crawley.
Well, so we're both back in Crawley, but speaking of Birmingham, there's a little bit of a link here into the League One playoffs, because Bolton are buzzing, but they kind of, that was a mad game to watch as well, just with the goals, because it was just never over. I think it finished 5-4 in the end on aggregate.
I think
because
so,
it was just
it was, what was the aggregate score? It was 5-4,
and it was just a mad game because they just refused to lie down, but Bolton just kept getting another goal and just managed to get it through. Like Ian Evatt looked like fuming at the end of the game, like happy, but obviously like annoyed with that. They'd made such hard work of it, but then Oxford coming through. I think we both picked Bolton on the last episode to go up. I'm pretty.
I picked
did we have
out of blind, like, sort of bias towards my local team, but yeah,
that's very true.
We both picked Bolton to win. Like I probably was still back Bolton to be promoted, to be honest. But Oxford have got this thing about them that they'll take a lot of fans to Wembley. So it's not far, and they make a lot of noise. So
Bolton's no joke though.
I know they've got just as many, but I don't know what. Do you know what the results between the two of them were in the actual season?
Sorry. No, I think it's even. I think they've won one and Bolton's won one.
Yeah, so it's.
I think.
I mean, Oxford scraped through. Both teams scraped through, really, didn't they?
Just about. But I think I think that's going to be a good final, though. Like, I do think it's not going to be one of those ones where it's like dull. It's just like 0-1. I know most finals can be like that because they're cagey affairs, but well, here you go. This is interesting.
Yeah.
I may have got my fixtures mixed up. So the first time the guys played each other, let me find it. Do. It was 0-0 at Oxford,
Lovely.
and then the return fixture, Bolton, finished 5-0 Bolton.
Wow.
So
Yeah. And that was on
if you, but
Sky.
again,
Oxford are
uh,
notoriously terrible on the telly, apart from when they played Newcastle a couple of years ago in the FA Cup. And they actually
yeah,
looked okay.
yeah. But then I don't know. Again, we can say like, oh, you only carry the form into the finals for the League Two one, but it's a one-off game. Like you've just everything else goes out the window. Like getting beat 5-0, it does probably be playing your mind, but then it might be we're not letting that happen
Don't matter.
again. We owe them one, so it just depends how you look at it, really.
Yeah, it don't matter.
It'd be interesting if there was any Oxford fans listening to it, apart from you, Matt. Would I know you're not like a full-pledged Oxford fan, but
They're my local team,
you've onboarded them.
Yeah.
I don't know. I back Bolton just because of they've got like a really strong spine of the team, and like Santos there, he is a man mountain of a defender anyway. But I'd back Bolton, but I wouldn't put it past Oxford from a bit of an upset.
Yeah, you wouldn't be surprised if Oxford win, but I agree with you there completely, mate. I think we said last week anyway. We said both of us said Bolton, no doubt, in this, didn't we?
But the link to what you said about Birmingham here is an interesting story, and I don't know how true it is, but I kind of see it because of how mad it sounds. That you'd think, oh yeah, an American who's just bought a club in England who knows nothing about the league would suggest this, but once Birmingham got relegated, it was announced that they were offering, I think, around 5 million or up to 5 million for Oxford to be a feeder club for them.
What?
But if things, so
they'll be playing them
things,
they could be swapped.
Like Oxford could be the Championship, and Birmingham in League One. Your feeder clubs in the league above you. I mean, smart move, but
I mean, it makes sense. Yeah, I can't see that happening.
Yeah, but I just thought it was mad. It was just funny because, like, Birmingham, how wrong things have gone for Birmingham. It'd be so typical that they would sign a deal with Oxford to buy the club for as a feeder team, and then the season they get relegated, their feeder club gets promoted to the league above them.
I think that's mad. But yeah, I can't see that happening. It's like you said, an American's come into football and thinking, what's a local team that we could become a feeder club like baseball, and then like we're going to use them as a farm team and we can transfer players for free. No, that's not how it works, mate. Like, so, they're not going to be your reserve side when you're separated by 4 places in league standings. Like, it's like, no.
It's sure, yeah.
That's like Man City having like the balls to go to Man United. Oh, do you want to be our reserves?
Yeah. Oh, no, I would say it's probably more than that. I would say like a Madrid.
Oh, Madrid saying Man United be our reserve team.
Like so, like I think it'll be something like that. Just how different in stature the clubs are, but hey, they are where they are for a reason now. But then, so just to recap before we do move on to the final playoffs, that have just happened. We both think. Are we going with Crewe or Crawley? I'm backing Crawley. We said Crawley, right?
Crawley and Bolton.
Bolton. Okay. Which leads us to
the Championship. The most exciting league in the world with the dullest playoffs.
I know. I picked up the Championship all season, and
if anyone's watched these on telly, please don't shout
both legs on final like
that these teams are shite.
I watched it and I was just like, it was a total snooze fest.
It's always cagey, I think, the first legs in the Championship because there's so much on stake. They call the Championship playoff final like the £200 million game or something, don't they, or something silly like that.
Yeah, they say it's the most lucrative game, don't they, in the football in football.
Yeah.
But then, I watched both games, and the Leeds game, nothing happened. Nothing. There was, and I was just thinking, like,
Sounds like Leeds.
I was thinking, if you're West Brom, this is your opportunity to nick something, because, in fairness, right, I've said this. I think I said it on the previous pod, but I'm talking to my friends and my brother and stuff about it. I think Leeds are beatable over two legs, but you would think you would take a goal to Ellen Road, because similar to Southampton, like Southampton went. Oh, sorry, I think I've got the fixtures
Norwich,
mixed up, haven't I?
Leeds, isn't it? Yeah.
Yeah. Norwich and Leeds. Like, I watched. You'd think Norwich would take a goal and back themselves, and then you'd think West Brom, because if I was supporter of either Norwich or West Brom, I wouldn't want to be going to Southampton or to Ellen Road without a goal, because I just think the mob mentality of the crowd, especially at Ellen Road, I wouldn't want to be going there
Yeah.
without a goal.
Yeah. I mean, it also bodes. The thing is, when we were talking about form and teams
Mm,
coming into the playoffs with form are the ones that are likely to, like you sort of carry it on and then sort of likely to win.
mm.
None of these teams are in form.
Yeah, I know. Southampton was really
The team that was
struggled,
in
didn't they?
form
And
was
then
Hull, who just missed out. On the last day.
yeah,
So
and bizarrely sacked their manager as well, which
yeah, I
I
know.
can't get my head around.
No, do you know when we talked about Hull and we said they spent all that money and their revenue to wages was like the highest out of the football. They put all their eggs in one basket of getting promoted, and it's not happened, and that's why
Mm,
they've sacked their manager. Which I get, and I get the chairman's probably shitting himself now because they're going to end up like Huddersfield or Birmingham next year because they've spent all their money. It's the
and
way
some of their key
we did it.
signings were
We did
loans,
it as
weren't they?
well when we got to the playoff final and lost, and then we got to the playoff semi-final the season after and lost. We
Mm,
were ridiculous wages, and then you just have to cut them because you're just like, we can't sustain this over 3 years. And then we got
no.
relegated to League One not long after, didn't we? So points
Yeah.
deductions and all that, FFP, trying to dodge the stadium as a revenue stream, that sort of shit. All
But
that stuff Man
yeah,
City's doing, but they get away with it.
yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
we were doing that. Didn't get away with it though.
No. Court use bad.
Yeah, exactly.
But then I think I think based off of, I mean, I'm not looking at the first legs and judging that as a winner, because you've got to take into account like the teams and the way they performed over the season.
Yeah,
So I still think it'll be a Leeds Southampton final. And
yeah.
I think
It would be nice to see Norwich be promoted, just to laugh on the face of Southampton and Leeds, because I would like to see that, and also seeing Norwich Ipswich in the Premier League, first time in a very long time, would be quite nice.
mm,
West Brom, I think they're just happy that they actually stayed in the playoffs at this point.
mm,
And I
so
don't know
many
if you
years
watched the
flirting.
game. Did it look like they were just knackered and they were just happy that they were there? Did Southampton like
Um,
outplay them or anything, or not really?
Fairly even, I would say. Southampton obviously keep a lot of the ball, but like,
Mm,
Corberan's a bit more pragmatic, isn't he? He's not
yeah.
like attacking. He said in his pre-match presser that this game's 180 minutes. So it's like,
Mm,
which it is. I know what you're saying. Like, it's obvious it is, but I think he was being quite
yeah.
direct in his approach to the game. That he's probably looked at that and thought, right, okay,
Let's
we
get
didn't
to
get a
half time
goal.
nil
Fair
nil.
enough. We've attacked in places, but it's far from over, if you know what I mean.
Yeah. I think all the clubs would. I feel like with the championship, because of what's on stake for all of them, I think
Mm,
they probably all say, let's get to half time, like the first game, 0-0, everything to play for in a second. And you'll watch the second legs and they'll be wildly different. They'll probably be like cup games. like proper cup games. But
Like, well, if you consider that, like, just not to go back to it, but like when we played each other in the League One, we nicked it 1-0, but then you cancelled out at like what 70 odd minutes or something, maybe a little bit earlier, and then the home crowd's behind you, and somehow we found a way, like in injury time, to get the goal, and it's like
it was like a cup game. It was very much
I
like that. It was because we were pushing and then left a lot of space, didn't we? So
tired legs, though, innit?
yeah, well, old players as well.
Yeah.
3 years older now.
I know. But again, like it is the second leg that counts. So there's nothing between any of them. So I don't know. I think if you looked at all of the 4 teams to go up, who would I prefer to go up? I would probably say,
what, for our benefit for next season, not having to play them?
I would probably say I want Southampton to go up just because Bark's already been there. Norwich have been a bit of a yo-yo club, and I think Leeds will implode because they'll get picked. So like, not owns people like that. They'll have to go. Rutter will have to go,
Somerville will go,
and I still think they'll be strong. But yeah, fuck them.
I think if Leeds or Southampton don't get promoted, they'll get picked apart like vultures. Like the Premier League teams would be like vultures on them if either of those don't go up.
I'd say out of any team that doesn't go up, Southampton will probably be the only ones where I think they're probably going to be favourites to win the league, because even if they do, like, they're not going to sell Manning. Like, their best players, they're not really going to sell. So like, and even if they sell a couple of players, which is likely, they've still got like Ross Stewart coming back. They've still got Manning. They'll still have Smallbone. Like, they've still got a mid team. So
I feel like the Championship next
and
year,
financially they're not screwed
yeah,
because of how much they've made from their transfers anyway.
the Championship next year is going to be tough because there's going to be a lot
Brutal.
more equally matched teams. So say like, let's say Leeds get promoted. Southampton are probably favourites, like you said. They'll probably look to be winning the league. Then it could be anyone, I think, because the ones relegated aren't
Burnley.
much better. Burnley, yeah, it depends. They're being a bit of a yo-yo team, but then Sheffield United and Luton, I don't think they'll smash teams. I think they're coming down into a league where
Standards grown.
Yeah, there is not much difference. And the 3 teams that are coming up potentially from League One, if we include Bolton, Bolton, Derby, and Portsmouth are big teams. We're getting rid of some dross. Like, no offense to Rotherham, but
yeah, Huddersfield.
Like
Shite.
Huddersfield used to be good in the 1920s, but like, you know, like
like if you look at the table, right, I'm just going back to
I think if we don't strengthen and move on some of our old wood, which Danny Role should do if we keep him, I think we could struggle quite badly considering who's coming up, and the quality of the league I think will be closer next season.
Well, look, right, if you just forget the teams who've come up and been relegated and potentially who stay,
yeah,
I can give there's teams that always are there or thereabouts. So I'm not going to include Hull, but if you look at Borough, Coventry, Bristol kind of went off, so I'm not going to include them. But then
Millwall,
I would say Millwall,
Sunderland season as well. Millwall, but
us, who started really well. We were in the playoffs and then sacked our manager and then got where we were. Potentially Watford, but they've been poor. But then you've got so there's like 5 teams who could just make it into the playoffs, and that's not considering the teams that have come down or are in the playoffs now. So I think there's easily going to be next season like 12 or 15 teams who could finish 6th comfortably, within the top 6.
Yeah, exactly.
Because you look at you under Danny Role for the first full season and first summer recruitment. You look at maybe Schumacher at Stoke, who has turned it around towards the very latter games. Full summer recruitment, a bit money behind them.
QPR. If they can sort out
Michael Carrick might get to replace some of his players. It's just Coventry will come back. It's just I think for us, that's why the championship's amazing.
I think for us, it relies a lot on keeping our manager,
Mm.
and if he's allowed to build his own team.
He's
And I think
got it
that's the
back,
same
surely.
with QPR as well. I think they're in the same boat, a very similar boat to us, because Cifuentes has done miracle stuff at QPR as well, and they were one of the favourites for relegation along with us as well. And they
It's
pulled
just
away a bit
amazing.
quicker than we did, but they were closer. Like, we'll give them that. But, yeah.
Well, but since January, when he came on board, they've been one of the form teams just
Yeah.
because of the results that they've had. Plus, like the team he's just managed to change the complete style of play.
Mm.
So anyway, that's going to be an interesting season. But we'll do an episode on pre predictions of
Exactly,
what we think is going to happen through the leagues. But what we'll do is, mate, as we've finished the first half, we'll
Do we
take a
want to
quick
predict
short
who's
break.
gonna? Shall we?
Sorry. I thought I said I'm back in Southampton to
Southampton.
do it.
Should we? Because we've agreed with each other every single time. Shall I go for Leeds then?
Do what you want.
I'll go for Leeds. So one of us is wrong. Or both of us. Like, we could.
Oh
be
yeah,
both
we're
wrong.
potentially both going to be wrong.
Or shall I go for Norwich? Like.
Well, you fancied Norwich. You did fancy them.
All right, I'm going to stick with Norwich then. I reckon Norwich might get promoted.
I think Southampton. I'm back to Southampton.
Out of pure, I don't want to pick the same team as Gary, but I think Southampton probably will get promoted. But I'm going to back Norwich.
Go on then. Cool. We'll be back in just a moment.
Mm-hmm.
Welcome back to football. Bloody hell.
Bloody hell, mate. Oh, stop me toe.
Bloody hell fire. Speaking of which, just on a lighter note, mate, to finish the pod. Did you happen to catch any of the Man United game or not?
I didn't. I've seen what you're going to talk about, though.
Yeah. So they've complained and stuff about the on-pitch stuff, and they've complained about the old stuff, and I've heard Gary Neville complain about this as well. But then, obviously, had torrential rain at the back end of the game, and it panned to the stadium, and there's fan videos on X or Twitter. I said it doesn't sit right. It was calling
it's
Twitter X now. It is Twitter still on Twitter, and oh my god, that stadium is like a death trap. It was just like hammering down the stairs, like ridiculous.
It is falling apart, and they've not looked after it in a long time.
And do you know, like, people say, like, as much as this is going to sound cliche, but people say, like, football's not poetic. It's like, if that's not a poetic symbol for Man United's dynasty, like the rain coming in, getting beaten off Arsenal, the stadium's falling apart, floods coming in. It's just
washing away the fans.
It's almost symbolic. Poetic.
It's beautiful.
But
that's what I say. Absolutely beautiful.
Beautiful. But then, God forbid if God forbid Bromley having a 3G pitch, but Man United can have a derelict stadium. Unbelievable. Absolutely shocking. I mean, any stadium would struggle if like a flash storm like that happened.
Yeah.
But the whole, like, the roof just doesn't work. It's like pointless it being there.
Yeah, but it's doing more harm than good, isn't it? At this point, like.
But I just wondered if you see that. But the reason I mentioned that is because I was talking with my brother. Shout out to him, David, for listening as well.
There we go.
But he we were talking, and just, I don't want to make it all about something I've said, like the season's finished, so I'm glad. But we've been linked with a few different managers now, and there was a German manager, Bo somebody.
Bo.
I mean,
just Bo.
Sounds good, doesn't he? What's his name?
Bo
Nasvin or something? Hang on, I'll find him. Oh,
Who's he
there he
manager
is.
of?
It is.
Bo
He was
Henriksen.
manager of Mainz.
Mainz. Bo Henriksen. Danish.
Bo Svensson. I've got.
Manager of Mainz.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, it's Bo Henriksen.
Is it?
He's Danish. Yeah.
No. Oh, I'm all for the Danish bacon, man. Says the vegetarian.
Mainz finished 15th in. They're going around there or thereabouts in the Bundesliga.
Yeah, well,
Oh, they
last
might
season
still
he
be in the
finished.
relegation playoff actually.
Yeah, but he left there. I think he was sacked this season. But Mainz finished
Oh
like
no, they've
last
got.
season.
There is a Bo Svensson. So their current manager is Bo Henriksen. They sacked Bo Svensson
Bose.
in
That's him.
November, who's also Danish, and then they signed a manager called Bo Henriksen, who's also Danish. Maybe they just like Bo's. So it might be the one who currently doesn't have a job then.
Yeah, it is. It's Bo Svensson. So
That's quite interesting then, because he was manager of Liefering before, and that's Red Bull Salzburg's feeder club. So maybe he has contacts with Salzburg and things like that, Red Bull group.
Maybe.
Which would be good for loan players and things like that, or potential signings.
I mean, it fits where we sign players from, so maybe. But he's appeared out of nowhere and has been linked with us. So my brother sent us this thing, and you know the series that Sky does called Masterclass, where basically it homes in on one game, and the manager talks through the tactics and stuff to kind of show you the different games. So you've got like here is Bo Svensson's talking about when Mainz beat Bayern 2-1 at Mainz, but you've had Jose Mourinho on there. You've had all sorts of managers, but then you've also had Lee Johnson on there. So it's just to kind of ground it, not get carried away here. But it just started funny, and my brother said to us, he went, he sent us the link to watch it on Masterclass, and he said, I wonder if any of these, I wonder about these vids, because I wonder if Mike Dodds, our caretaker manager, could be put on Masterclass for getting a result against Leeds. And it got us thinking, and I was thinking, wouldn't it be funnier if they did a series where they got a manager on to talk through how they got absolutely battered? so like remakes of football. I would much rather watch a game where a manager or a player in the losing team come on the Sky and had to talk through, oh, well, this is how they fucking battered us.
So this season, Mainz actually lost 8-1 to Bayern Munich. So they I don't know if he was the manager at the time, but if he was, then they could get him on to talk about that loss and see what happened.
Yeah, get him on for that one. But then I started thinking of all the results. Like, just can you imagine? So Mike Dodd's getting sat there when we got beat 5-0 off Blackburn. It's like, oh yeah, how did it start? And I was like, well, I played an injury-prone holder midfielder.
I'm tactically inept.
I then brought our best player on for the last 10 minutes, half fit, risked him for injury. And then we knew Blackburn, like my brother said here, he's like, we knew Blackburn had a tough run coming up and they needed this result. And this was proven when they drew 0-0 and lost 5-0 the following games after beating us. So I was thinking,
that would be class, wouldn't it?
That would be an absolute great idea for a show.
Comedy, though, wouldn't it? So you'd have to, no one take it seriously, just get people on to sort
of... No. I think the complete opposite. I think
they do take it seriously. Like,
they've got to take it dead serious, but then it would be even funnier for us.
Yeah, I think it'll be like a deadpan comedy sort of thing.
Like, can you imagine can you imagine putting Mike Williamson in front of Sky cameras, calling it? I mean, you could call it disaster class as a bit of a thing. That's what I was thinking. Disaster class. Sit Mike Williamson in front of just like this, like frontal view, and then shove a tactics board in front of him and say, explain how Crawley beat you. Can you hit one on aggregate?
8-1 on 2 legs. Yeah. We want to emphasise Crawley.
Crawley. 2 legs, man. But yeah. So that got me thinking of all the different shows that you could remake, like, because it made me think of like shows like when I was growing up on VHS. And for anybody who doesn't know what a VHS is, this podcast's not your demographic, so you're
Yeah,
probably right to turn off now. But I used to have uh, two that really stood out. One was a guy called Nick somebody, and it was called Football Hell.
yeah, I remember that one. It's like
I can't remember his
blunders in it and
surname.
things like this.
Aye. And then the other one was Rory McGrath's own goals and gaffs. And I would just sit
Nick
and watch
Hancock.
them. Nick Hancock, yeah. I would sit and watch them and just like couldn't stop laughing at them. Like now you see it all the time, but it was like before Soccer AM were doing like Third Eyes and stuff. So I suppose you could just say it's those kind of videos, but I just thought it'd be really funny just to remake the show Masterclass and call it Disaster Class and get managers. But like as the show goes on, like the shirt starts becoming a bit like looser like this, and then bottles of alcohol start appearing on empty and shit. It's just like
One of the best ones would be like if, say, one of his players scored like a hat trick of own goals or something like this, and he goes, "So explain what you told him to do when he was defending in his box." it's like, well, I told him to clear it in his own net.
just crying and that. I told him to do the exact opposite of what he did, but bastard got us the sack.
Is this a serious question?
Oh god.
No, that'd be class. I'd like to see
just
those
that
bloopers, though. They're hilarious, aren't they?
Oh yeah. If somehow you can find them on the internet, I'd recommend Rory McGrath's own goals and gaffs and Nick Hancock's Football Hell. I think there's quite a few Football Hells. I think it's Football Hell 2.
Yeah, they'll be on YouTube.
The reason I remember it as well is because in between the clips he's playing Sabutio with Death. So like Death's there. And he's playing Sabutio. It's so good.
Don't get shit like that anymore, do you?
No,
more athletes.
no. Yeah, they bring that back because like now it's just like it's like these Sunday socials where basically somebody like us is on Sky Sports now.
Yeah, but they say opinions that they don't actually believe to get hits.
Like Mark, like the thing, like just before we end, like that Mark Goldbridge. I know he's got like it's not his real name, and people say he's a Nottingham Forest fan, and he's doing it for the clicks and stuff. I think the birth of like football social commentators or social football commentators was like AFTV, but it was because how funny it was when they'd throw the toys out the pram.
Yeah.
But now I think that's kind of fed into, and this Mark Goldbridge, I think because he got a job at TalkSport, that's how big it got. And well, big it is, and now it does almost seem like he's playing up to it a bit. Like when he went mad at Crystal Palace, and I thought that was fairly genuine. But then he like smashed a light and like just went on this crazy rant. And I do think
a lot of the
I don't know. It just seems a bit like his ratings have obviously gone up, and he's
what can I
following
do to get
that.
Clipped, and then it'll get me a lot of hits, a lot of views, and it'll go viral on TikTok or something like this. And that's the same with the opinions of a lot of these people on Saturday Social. They don't say it because they believe it. They say it because they think it'll go viral. So it's not genuine punditry or opinions. I call a lot of them pub pundits because I think they just say things to please everyone else. Or they say things so out there and controversial that it's outright
ulterior motive
ridiculous that people actually think, well, he's a dick. Why would he do that? And then it gets traction for him for being outrageous or saying things that are just ridiculous.
I'm telling you, Matt, we're going to miss a trick here. We're trying to build this podcast when really we should be trying to pitch to Sky Disaster Class. Me and you host it.
If anyone from Sky happens to come across our podcast and they want us to do a new TV series called Disaster Class, where we interview we will come up with the questions. We interview managers on their worst games.
We need to put this as a feature in the podcast.
Sheffield United, I'd love to do this, lost 8-0 to Newcastle at home this season. I would happily, I'd like to ask the manager, so what happened?
Yeah.
So when it went
But
to
the thing is,
7, did you feel like you still had hope in coming back? Like,
like, but the thing is, in the audio, all you would hear is like me and you whispering to each other and going, "Ask him if he still thinks he could have pulled it back at 3-0 down after 5 minutes." And then the camera, if anyone's watching, the camera just as it's like I'm the manager that's being asked the question, you're holding the camera, and all you can see is this because we're laughing, like the camera bouncing up and down. We're just like, ask him again. Oh, you heard
That'd
it
be me
here.
sat there
Football
interviewing
disaster
him with the
class.
Sheffield Wednesday scarf on. But yeah. What is that?
Yeah, we'll start with Wilder. I think he blows.
Was he the
Well, here we
manager
go.
at that point when they lost 8-0 to Newcastle?
I think so, wasn't he? Or was it Heckenbottom? I don't know.
It might
But
be
then,
Heckingbottom. But the thing
mind.
is, though, it's like, fine. We can also get him to sign a Rotherham shirt beforehand as well.
My
and
God.
also give him a DVD of the game so he can watch it later.
Big games, like you try and get pictures of the worst moment where it's like him like staring into the abyss, like, oh God, I've got to stand
Just on
here
the
for
front
another.
cover.
I've got to stand here for another 80 minutes watching my team get hammered, and just keep rewinding it and playing it to him, rewinding it and playing to him.
It's just like, we want to ask you a serious question at this point, and we all think mental health's quite important. But what were you thinking at that point? No, not this.
Yeah.
Not that point. This one.
Yeah, this one. Oh wait, there, and then
Yeah,
again
right
here.
Yeah, that's the one.
Oh God, it's happening, mate. I think it's a good
So
pitch.
did the players get a game day off after?
Yeah.
After that performance?
Yeah. But here we are, mate. We're at full time. Full time. Here we
Indeed.
are.
It's been a
The
good
football bloody hell. But yeah, it's been a good one, mate. So again, thank you for anybody who's listened to this week's episode. And Matt, it's always a pleasure to talk to you.
Yeah, likewise.
Let's get this disaster class off the ground.
Yeah,
I
let's
think
get this going.
it's got legs.
If we can get someone to dress up as a manager and do the pilot, that'd be great.
Yeah. Well, there you go. Yeah, anyone's out there
that thinks they're a manager, like they identify as Chris Wilder or something like this, but they're not actually him. Like, yeah, we'll happily do it just for the pilot.
Oh God! All right, mate. I'll leave it there.
Yeah.
I'll see you in a bit. Thank you, everybody.
Take care, everyone.